Hey guys, this is Squishy Monster. Today we're going to make a layered strawberry cake. This is actually for a birthday cake for my friend Alicia, so happy birthday Alicia! And I'm going to show you the way it works for me. Now, to preface this, I am not a professional by any means. I've never received any formal or informal training at all. This is just what works for me. So if you guys can duplicate it at home, and I hope you do, fantastic. So let's get started. I'm going to begin by beating together, or creaming together rather, my softened room temperature unsalted butter with my sugar. To that I'm going to add in my vanilla, and I like to add it pretty early on for it to have the time to bloom in whatever it is that I'm making. Remember to scrape on the sides of your bowl, and everything should be preferably at room temperature, just like my eggs. I'm going to drizzle in a stream a little bit at a time and blend to incorporate. Add in my stream of buttermilk. Then I have my fresh strawberry puree. And at this point, you don't have to worry so much about over mixing. You just don't want to over mix when you add in the flour. You don't want to overwork the gluten, so it'll produce very tough and very dense cake. And we want this to be light and fluffy. Now, after everything, all the wet has come together, you want to sprinkle in thirds your dry ingredients. And this is just my flour, my baking powder, and my salt. And all of these details will be found on my blog, thesquishymonster.com. And I want to help it out with a spatula. That's what I like to do anyways. And I left the strawberries kind of chunky because I want to bite into it. When I dip my fork into a slice, I want to actually see big chunks of strawberries so you know what you're eating and you know that it's the real stuff, not the box mix. All I've done here is generously grease my 9-inch pans, and I have 2 of them. And all I've done is snugly fit a piece of round fitted parchment down on the bottom, and I greased it as well, so it's going to ensure that it won't stick, because nothing is sadder or more depressing than a cake that you've spent so much time baking that sticks. And I'm going to just spoon it in here, the batter that is, and if you want to be technical, you can definitely use a food scale to get it down to the right ounce per grams, but I don't think Alicia's going to care too much if it's not perfect. As long as it's delicious, right? So I'm going to pop these into my oven at 350 when I fill them, and I'll cool them, completely cool them. It's very important to do that, and I'll show you how I assemble them. So my cakes are out of the oven, and all I've done is completely cool them so far. That's all I've done. And make sure they cool. It's really important because you won't be able to handle them if they're still hot, and the icing and the frosting will just kind of ooze and just melt everywhere. And also it'll be easier to handle, and it'll peel off the edges of the pan if you let it cool properly. Now all I have is a sharp serrated knife, and I'm going to cut. So just to bring the cake a little more volume. And this cake pedestal really helps. It's like a rotating cake pedestal. And then just make a sharp cut. And then using the spinning motion of your cake pedestal, just make an incision and then go all the way around. Just rotating and cutting, being very careful. Now all I've done is split both of my 2 cakes down the middle, so I have 4 little pieces, round pieces, discs like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip the simple syrup altogether, and using a pastry brush, I'm going to brush a little bit of that strawberry jam that we made not so long ago. The video I have on that I'll link below, as well as it's the same jam, the jelly I used, and the preserves that I used for the Pop-Tarts as well. So it comes in pretty handy. Then I'm going to sandwich the middle with a lot of cream. I just whipped some heavy cream together with some vanilla extract and some powdered sugar, and I'm going to slather that on this slice. On top of my cream, I'm going to layer on some strawberries, some fresh strawberries that are reserved from the carton that I got before I made the puree to put into the cake. So there'll be strawberries running in the middle of the cake as well as inside of the cake. And I'm going to top with some white chocolate dipped strawberries on the top. It's going to be very pretty. Now I'm going to put on the hat, the second disc, being very careful. I'm going to lay it on top like this. And ultimately there will be 4 layers. And I'm going to do the same thing I did for the bottom layer. I'm going to brush with the jam or the jelly preserves. And then I'm gonna top with whipped cream, and then I'm gonna top with more strawberries and do the whole thing over and over again, and then I'll show you how I ultimately frost the whole thing and decorate. So this is what it looks like right now. It's just 4 layers sandwiched with cream and fresh strawberries. And for the top, I'm ultimately going to frost it with a buttercream. And I have 2 offset spatulas here, a little baby one and then I have a gigantic one. Both will come in handy. I'm going to use just alternately using them as I need them. And I'm going to begin by plopping a gigantic mound of buttercream on the top and just spreading with my offset spatula. Let's start off with a little one. So I wanted to show you how I gradually move down to the edges, and when it's like that, I just kind of smooth it over using the force and just the ease of the cake pedal stool. I just kind of let it go. And it's a very sheer layer right now, but that's to be expected. It's a crumb coat. So what you're trying to do is just kind of cover your bases at this point. It doesn't have to look perfect. We're gonna put the finishing touches on it eventually, and it'll be fine. So the cake pedal stool just kind of be rotated, and it just smears it on the side for you. And then when I'm finished with this crumb coat, I'm going to pop it in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes or so for it to set, and then I'm gonna put the final coat of frosting on it. So here is the final product. I just dipped some strawberries in some white chocolate, and they're like little snow-capped strawberries on the top. And then whatever white chocolate I had left over, excuse me, I just put some white chocolate, leftover white chocolate in a Ziploc bag or a pastry bag, and just pipe little hearts onto wax paper and let them set, and then peeled them off and laid them on the cake. So I hope that Alicia enjoys this cake. Again, I want to wish you a happy birthday, Alicia. I love you, and may all your dreams and wishes come true this year, and let it be the best year yet. Thanks so much for spending time with me, guys. This is Squishy Monster, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!